Brown here from Concept Building Solutions. Been asked a lot recently about home insurance and just how big of a con it actually is, and basically been asked quite a lot of questions that are actually coming from other people who have said they had this experience and that experience with their home insurance companies, and how true was this, blah blah blah. So I thought I'll do a little YouTube video and try and explain some of the myths and even some of the facts about home insurance, and just in order to help you decide whether you should make an insurance claim. In my experience, a lot of people who are actually covered by their home insurance policy aren't actually making insurance claims simply because they've listened to barroom loss adjusters who think they know it all. So hopefully this little video will help relay some of them fears, and and actually prove that the service that we offer is actually very, very useful and worthwhile contacting in order to get some help. So the first myth I would like to dispel is that insurance companies are out to actually rob you. This is probably the most tightly regulated industry on the planet. The financial services sector is unbelievably controlled nowadays, especially after the banking collapse a few years ago. In my experience, an insurance company will not pay out only if they are 100% sure of their grounds. If they decline a claim, they have a damn good reason for doing that. The Financial Service and Ombudsman, who is an independent arbitrator against basically the policyholder or the insurance company or the banks, even for that matter, will basically sit in judgment and at the cost actually of the insurance provider if they are proved to have made the wrong decision. They will sit in judgment and can force insurance companies to actually pay out even if they don't believe they have to. So it is an unbelievably tightly regulated industry, and as I say, in my experience, they will only decline a claim if it is absolutely necessary. Me personally, I'm a former loss adjuster myself. I only ever declined claims, as I said earlier, if it was concrete. The amount of paperwork involved in declinature and the complaints, the arguments, the general hassle, it's just incredible. I always went into an insurance survey after reading the initial description of what the problem was, and sometimes losing sleep the night before, trying to work out the best way to actually get this policyholder covered. On speaking with my peers at the time, they all had the same issues. I never came across one insurance adjuster who went into a claim looking to decline it. The amount of hassle, as I said earlier, the amount of paperwork is it's just not worth it. So contrary to what people believe, they do set out to actually cover the claim. The second myth I would like to dispel is when you take out an insurance policy, absolutely everything is covered under the policy. It isn't. There's roughly around half a dozen insurable perils, is what they're called, that are covered under your home insurance policy. Each of those perils have their own distinct legal description as well as to when they consider it to be a peril as described. Storm and escape of water are always the ones that are very, very contentious. Who classifies a storm? Well, it has its own legal guidelines as to when an insurance company has to actually say, yeah, we classify this as a storm. They all have their own individual policies in terms of wind speeds and rainfall, for example. but they are all very, very strictly defined. The same can be said for escape of water, which the general public knows is a leak. Just because you've got water dripping through your ceiling doesn't necessarily classify it as a leak. The simple, straightforward example of that is if water is dripping from a pipe, then it's a leak. If water is dripping around a shower seal or a bath seal, for example, or even due to rising damp, that's not a leak. That's actually a maintenance issue or wear and tear, which are never covered under insurance policies. Now, some insurance policies now actually don't make an exclusion on the policy for leaking shower seals. That's not to say they'll cover leaking shower seals. There's a lot of other things that need to be considered, but they don't exclude it. Some policies will actually say in the policy booklet that you're given at the start, general exclusion, leaking shower seals, faulty defective grout, for example. If that has occurred to you, don't even make the claim. It's a waste of time, and you'll only get yourself upset and then fall into this whole thing of insurance companies are out to rip people off, which, if you refer to my point 1, is definitely not true. The third myth I would like to make about insurance providers is if I make a claim, the insurance company will automatically believe I'm trying to commit fraud. And again, this actually puts people off. The amount of people who have let a leak go on for 5 or 6 months, and when I asked them, well, why did you let the leak go on that long? I was afraid to make the claim because I didn't think the insurance company would believe me. That just is not the case. There is fraud out there. There are people who are setting out every day to try and beat the system. But as I said in a previous broadcast, insurance is not a multi-billion pound industry because it gives money away. It's a multi-billion pound industry because it has checks in place to make sure they're paying out for what they have to pay out. Yes, they are going to ask you some difficult questions, but if I was to ask you for £2,000 or £3,000, you can rest assured you're going to ask me a few questions. So why would an insurance company be any different? That does not automatically mean that they don't believe that you've had an issue. From past experience in dealing with most claims handlers at insurance companies, their default position has always been that it is an insurance claim. When I was an adjuster myself, I could have, if there was 10 days in a week, I could have been out those 10 days simply because of the amount of claims they wanted to have assessed. So they don't have this position of they believe you're trying to defraud the system. They do want to help. Getting cross with them on the phone won't help. They do ask the questions for a reason, and that is, it is a business. They have to protect the business as well, but they also have to make sure that they're not sending loss adjusters out to claims that aren't actually claims. So hopefully some of these myths have been explained and basically blown out of the water. I'm not as good as those guys on that Mythbusters program, I know, but hopefully, as I say, it will dispel a few myths about the industry. If you have any queries or if you have any questions whatsoever, please contact us on the numbers that follow this broadcast and give me a call. More than happy to speak to people. It's free, so use and abuse and go for it.